How's it going, second grade? It's Miss Nina here. I'm going to try and teach you guys something new today. We're going to be shading a circle to turn it into a sphere. I thought it'd be interesting to learn how to do this 3D type of artwork or drawing skill after learning about op art last Monday, or this past Monday, because that way I showed you guys how to make your hand look like it was coming out of the paper. And this way we're gonna get to learn how to draw a circle to make it look like it's a 3D shape. Now this is kind of tricky, so give yourself some grace today. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay if your first try doesn't turn out correctly. That's why we practice, and that's why I wanna teach you guys something new. So all you need for this today is a pencil and a piece of paper. That's it. I'm not even going to be using my normal markers today because it really is better to be drawing with a pencil. So I'm also going to be using some new vocabulary in this work. You can look on the Google virtual learning doc because it's got those vocab terms on an example drawing to help you know what you're looking at. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by drawing a circle. Of course, your circle does not have to be perfect. And remember, when I'm drawing shapes, I kind of do it a couple of times until it's looking the way I want it to. The next thing we need to do is we need to decide which way there's going to be a light source in our picture. So I've got a lamp over this way off camera, and you can kind of see that I've been casting some shadows on my paper. So I'm actually going to pretend that the light is coming from that direction. I may even draw a little sun or a light bulb over here to help me remember. That means that if the light is shining on this side of the circle, then this part of the circle is really not going to have much shadow in it at all. Any part of an object that has that bright spot without any shadow on it, that's called the highlight. So we're going to leave this highlight completely white. We're not going to fill in anything inside of this circle. If the sun is facing this way, then that means the ball or the sphere that we're drawing will be having a shadow, casting a shadow behind it. Think about when you are standing in front of the sun or standing in front of a light, like my hand is in front of the light. The shadow is on the other side. So we're going to draw a very skinny oval behind this circle to make it look like the shadow behind it. Super skinny at the very bottom, like this, kind of like actually it kind of looks like a little beaver tail. I've just noticed. How adorable. That is going to be a really dark spot, a dark shadow behind our sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of fill that in a little bit. You can do the same. It's even going to be darker the closer it gets to our sphere, okay, our little circle that we're shading in. And you can see how I've layered my pencil. The darker it is, the more times I've filled it in, and then I'm leaving, even though this part is filled in, leaving it kind of lighter. That's showing the different value where it goes from dark to light. Now we need to start filling in our circle a little bit. If this is our highlight, the brightest part of our circle, then the darkest part of our circle is going to be on this bottom side. So I'm going to start filling this in. And if you notice while I'm doing this, I'm keeping my lines in the same shape as that circle. They're curved along with the circle, and that's going to help give your circle some extra depth. If you drew straight up and down, your circle is going to really stay looking flat. So try and draw some curved lines. Now look, I've already started doing this without even talking about it. The closer I get to this highlighted point, this point where the sun is, the lighter my lines are becoming, because we want this backside of the circle or the sphere to be the darkest point. So I may even go over it just a few more times to really get it looking nice and dark. You can press down harder if you want, But really, the more times you go over it, the more it's gonna start to look darker and darker. Let me attach our little cast shadow over here. Okay, so this darker part is called the core shadow. It's really the darkest part of that shadow. And as we start making kind of lighter shadows towards the middle, those are called mid-tones. So we want to make some more of those kind of lighter looking shadows. And you know what? I'm even going to erase the circle I drew around our highlight so that it doesn't distract those mid-tones we have going right here. Okay, another little trick I like to do is I like to start going kind of in the opposite direction also. These are usually called cross hatches, and they just help you give your object a little bit more depth, and it gives your shadows a little more texture. There we go. So I started drawing this way, and then I drew the cross hatches the opposite way, almost like a waffle pattern. So I've got lines going in different directions, but I'm still curving them along with that circle. I'm gonna go over this dark part one more time. Whoa. It's looking pretty good. What do you guys think? How are yours turning out? Remember, you can always pause the video to catch up with me if you need to, or you could watch the whole video through once without drawing, and then watch again and draw with me. All right, we're getting closer and closer to this highlight, so I do not want to do too many marks near that light source, that sun or that lamp that's nearby. All right, I might round out this shadow a little more. It's looking a little bit flat. But as you're rounding it out, you definitely want to make sure that it's still darkest behind that circle, the closer you get to the circle. Now, some artists really like to use their finger to smudge the lines and to make the shading look much more smooth. And you can definitely do that if you want to. If you don't want to get your fingers messy, you can always cover it with like a napkin or something if you've got one nearby, and then smooth it in. Let me show you over here what that would look like. That's not my favorite way of drawing. I really like to use cross-hatching and texture instead. But if that's something you enjoy, then that can be your style of drawing. All right, let's pretend that's a beautiful, another sphere that I've drawn with shadows and midtones and cast shadows. Oh my gosh, it's so messy. Then I would take my little finger and I would start to smooth it in. You'll also notice that it takes away a lot of the darkness. So as you're doing that, you might even have to go back in and add some more to make those dark tones, those core shadows, the darkest they need to be. But the other cool part about smudging and smoothing is now I've got this nice graphite on my tissue, and I could use that to add just a little bit of color and texture around near the highlight of the sphere. What do you guys think? Is that something that you would like to do? Or do you like this kind of rough texture like I do? Everyone is different and it's okay. All right, guys, this is just a first step and it's just a practice. So give yourself some grace, again, like I said earlier, and it's okay to feel like your first one is bad. In fact, I drew one last night getting ready for this lesson and didn't like it when I went to bed. Woke up this morning, looked at it again, and really like it a whole lot more. Sometimes you just need to step away from your art and come back with fresh eyes when you're feeling frustrated. So I hope you guys have fun with this. Try it out, see what you think, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.